never restored, this is seldom. Crucifix and things that held them. Acid trips with no vacation. Glorious in nature's bosom. Bosom rest in desperation. Sword and us, but there's redemption. Muscles flexed in pain.
I guess it always changes, but I guess my biggest collection of music is from Tom Waits. People like The Strokes, but then a lot of electronic and stuff that we listen to like recently. A lot of bands as well from England that we play with. A good inspiration on what you do.
Visually, I think we all like Adam Curtis documentaries. He's like a BBC guy. What else do we like? Jim Jarmusch films, skate videos.
Yeah, skate videos has been a big impression on our music taste. It's a good way of getting introduced when you're young, kind of like grooming.
Got groomed.
I got groomed by skate videos.
And Weissel Burger. It's a non-musical influence today. Gold.
Well, the last song on our album is one of the first ones we wrote, called Seasick, and it's I don't know, it's interlude.
Sick.
Looks good.
Huge.
It's got quite a lot of where we started and where we wanted to be and stuff. Our next single, Lies, is out now. It's quite an electronic track. It's kind of hard to choose one track because we're quite schizophrenic. Like we go from different instruments from track to track, and we kind of don't want to pigeonhole ourselves into a certain genre. So it's hard to choose one track from the album. But what do you say? Maybe What?
What's good because it's it was the least predictable. You know, it was one of the ones where at the end when we listened to what we had, it was like, oh, that wasn't what we were expecting.
Yeah. It's kind of good when music, when songs grow their own legs and kind of, change a lot from what you had first in your mind.
Yeah. Pointless making music if you know what it's going to sound like before you make it. Because you might as well just have it in your head anyway.
Yeah. I don't know if you understood that.
No, it's okay.
It's kind of weird. We started off with our own night that we promoted. There was basically, we had a weekly that we split up with a few other bands, and so we kind of did it in a DIY type way where we, wanted to kind of make a bit of a scene around a certain venue in London. And I don't know.
Using the internet and stuff came into play when we started going away more, because then we could make a little video of where we'd been, and people started wanting to know what we were doing.
Our manager was in a band that predated the internet, and when he was going around doing a tour, the only way you'd find out about his shows is if you saw a poster on the street. So it's kind of very different nowadays, and
Totally.
if you're not online, if you haven't got a strong online grasp, then it's hard to get known and stuff. So kind of like.
Also, I think being on an independent label, you rely on it more, because it means that you're
free,
not
isn't it?
necessarily going to have like huge fucking zeppelins in the sky with your name on it. So
Yeah,
you have to generate your own stuff. Promoting yourself and how.
Yeah, promoting yourself. I think. Yeah, as
I think the worst thing about promoting yourself is that you have to kind of big yourself up. Do you know what I mean? There's not necessarily that many platforms except for Facebook and Twitter of people recommending bands to each other and stuff, and I think that the majority of the reason that the music industry's become slightly kind of like awkward and introverted is that it's not cool to like promote yourself, to be like, oh, like come check out my band, it's really good, like come down to a show. And in the early days, so many bands get like swept up because they just don't have what other people talking on their behalf, you know. So, and that we've always tried to like name drop other bands that we play with or our mates' bands and stuff, and create kind of like a bit of a DIY thing, like you were saying about putting on our night in East London. It's just all about creating a bit of a community.
I'm not quite sure. We really prefer playing in Europe. It seems to just be quite in the UK. There seems to be quite music snobbery. Like, you know, it's not very. People don't go from one genre
People
to
don't
the other.
really give a fuck about music in the UK.
It's kind of weird. Like, yeah, and you know, people give a bit more of a push outside the UK. Venues are nicer. The sound systems are nicer. You know, the crews are better. The riders are better. The crowds are better. So yeah, we're glad we're back in Europe touring. We're not that patriotic. we're not Oasis.
Snobbery wise, I think not really. I think it, like, England lets itself down, doesn't necessarily let its bands down. Do you know what I mean?
I think
Because England has a history of exporting really good music, and it's almost like kids in England have this kind of sense of entitlement where they think that they should be seeing like the best show ever, and they don't necessarily want to support it. They just expect.
I think it's not so much like snobbery, but it's almost like it's you know, there should be a better music union in England, because, you know, say elsewhere in the world, if somebody wants a performance, they pay for that performance. But in England, they know if in London you can get bands to play for free,
Or even
and-
to pay to play.
or yeah, even to pay to play in some places in like Camden or in South London. But so I think that's the main thing. Like, if you're in France, you know, the government will help you record some songs if you're in a new band. The local council will support a show, like, you know, fund them 60% of the show. And then on the radio, 40% of the music has to be like French by law. But then in England, because, you know, it's the third biggest export music, they don't think they have to push it or help it. So they just, like, you know, let pigeons. Yeah. It's like throw some breadcrumbs at some pigeons and see what happens. But yeah, so but then again, that means that people have to fight for it more. So I guess sometimes it works out. Yeah, I think like it's
You're
weird
gonna
when
go
we.
out, like, if you want to pull a bird, you've got to think about what you're gonna wear, innit? You can't just like throw anything on.
But yeah, fashion, like, it seems to all be related, doesn't it? Fashion, art, music, you know, film and stuff. We all borrow from each other, and we all, like, you know, we all follow the similar trends. And when we were living in quite a big squat in South London, we lived with, you know, 2 fashion designers, you know, a couple of stylists, a couple of writers. So we made art films, and like kind of everybody would feed off each other and help each other get to the next level. Like, do you know what I mean? Say if one of your friends was doing really well in the band, then they would get their friends that weren't doing so well in, you know, film or in fashion to help their, you know, cause. And then say one of the people in fashion having a fashion party, then they'd be like, oh, okay, you know, I'll help you out, I should give you a show. So it's kind of like a community that kind of shares the spotlight with each other, which is really good. Well,
Really loud noises.
yeah, really loud. We've been melting a lot of speakers
Yeah,
on the UK tour,
Completely destroyed 3 venues.
which is well, I think it's because we're starting to lose our own hearing, so we're like, no, turn it up. So I think maybe by the end of this tour we're gonna have a constant ring. But
I've already got that.
But yeah, and we got a bit of a light show. We want it to be quite theatrical. We didn't want it to be like quite a, you know, folk. We wanted to get as far away as folk performance as we can. So yeah.
Like a cross between Kraftwerk and the Russian Revolution.
Well, we tried to like listen to, like, you know, Prodigy, and all start, like, you know, pumping each other up and singing and stuff. But a lot of the times we find ourselves just drinking wine, watching
In silence.
in silence, watching YouTube videos of dogs sitting on turtles. But yeah, but it's like, and then when we put the mask on, it kind of like takes you into a different mindset.
Yeah. It's
So
like
it's
an
kind of-
open bracket.
I guess that's our ritual, putting on the mask. I guess you know, we want to be a bit of a community when we go around and stuff. So I guess last word is like, if anybody wants to come up to us and chat to us, do. And you know, and it's a good way to be, isn't
Or
it? It's a
have a
good way
party.
to like, yeah, we'll have a party
If you're interested in the second level of commitment, have a party.
and invite us.
If you're even more committed than that, have a party and put a PA system in your house.
And even more, have a party, put a PA in, and find a hot tub.
And a sister.
But yeah, no, yes, it's all about a community, isn't it? It's all about kind of making friends, and that's the best thing about playing in a band, that you can travel and you go to a city and you automatically have something in common with strangers, and you can kind of, you know, have a common ground with them.
This is seldom crucifix and things that held them. Acid trips with no vacation, glorious in nature's bosom, bosom breast in desperation. Sword and us, but there's redemption. Muscles flexed in praying motion, tight chest through suffocation.